Theresa May, hear us shout, Muslims in, racists out. Theresa May, hear us shout,
Muslims in, racists out.
Theresa May, hear us shout,
Muslims in, racists out.
Theresa May, hear us shout,
Muslims in, racists out.
Theresa May, hear us shout.
Muslims in, racists out.
Hospital Porter's Pride and Dignity Stop the New World Order. Welcome to our Panwo TV. Well, today I'm back in Oxford and it's Saturday and I'm doing something very, very unusual, something you probably wouldn't have expected. I'm actually going to an anti-Trump protest. And you may think, well, Ben, you've been saying Trump's a good guy and he's part of the change, the non-establishment. Why are you going to an anti-Trump protest now? Well, I want to get both sides of the story. That's what I'm doing. I think this is the reason. I'll show you where I am in a minute. It's the sun's in my eyes. I want to see the other side of the story. I mean, when the English Defence League came to Oxford, I did a report on their protest, on their march. But I also went and I visited the anti-fascist camp that was protesting against them, the counter-demonstration. You have to get both sides of the story. I mean, it's stupidity not to. This is why I'm very against people who say we should have censorship and we should no platform as so and so. I'm against all that. Very opposed to it indeed. So it's due to take place soon. I'm going to just head up there now, and I'm not going to take part in it. I disagree with these people. Okay, so I disagree with them fundamentally. But I just want to hear what they have to say. And it's supposed to be happening up here at 1 o'clock. It's about half an hour's time. At Carfax, which is where that big tall building is there ahead of us. So I'm going to head up there and just see what happens. And I'll do some filming. I'll do some quiet filming from the edge of the arena, so to speak. So we'll see what happens. And I'll have a little talk about it and about what happened and my feelings about it. Okay. Now it appears to be these people over here. See, it says no to racism, no to Trump, and there's a banner. Just have a look at the banner over here. Oh, I know that chap. Stop the War Coalition. They say it, hello Ed. I know that chap there, sorry, I'll just film him later. Okay, but I'm just going to show you a little bit more about what's going on around here. I'll tell you, I mean, it's not unusual. I mean, I think there are like protests or promotions in everywhere on a Saturday in Cornmarket. I'll just show you a little bit more of these over here. See here, there's God. It's very, very busy here. This is the place where I had my doppelganger experience. Do you remember me telling you about this? Where I saw this apparition who was exactly like me, looked exactly like me. See, Oxford Islamic Education Information. Yeah. If you go, so like I said, someone's always protesting about something, or they're trying to sell you something or promote something on a Saturday here in Cornmarket. This is like Speaker's Corner in Oxford, it really is. See, money, adverts, money transfer. I mean, the difference in atmosphere between Saturday and any other day in Cornmarket is really quite remarkable. There's some people, hello, people there selling, trying to give us stuff. What's that? I don't know what that is. But they're giving out stuff. And Islam, there's another thing about Islam here. IslamAgainstExtremism.com. Oh, good for them. So you carry on. I think that's it now. Unless there's some more stalls down here. There was a young chap playing the guitar. Oh, there he is. No, he's very good. That bloke there. Where is he? You can't see him there. That chap was playing. Oh, he's playing a violin now. He's very good. He was playing guitar earlier. I saw him with his guitar, and he was very, very good. So, carry on along here. I think that's it. So we'll go back to the anti-Trump protesters. I'm going to hope, obviously, hope it doesn't turn violent, because what we've seen certainly in the United States, at the Berkeley campus at the University of California, or Berkeley as they call it, is an all-out riot where some violent thugs, they were just smashing things up, attacking people, setting fire to the building and smashing windows and breaking bottles and things like that. They were attacking people who were going in to an event. It was actually Milo Yiannopoulos. They were like hurling abuse and eventually physically attacking people going in to see the event. The event was called off in the end. So there was always that risk that will happen, you know. Hello, sir. How are you? I'm a tourist, so I'm just having a look round.
I was looking at you guys. Wow, I thought I was becoming famous.
Well, you can be if you like.
Hey!
What's
I'm
your
invited to an event if you're a tourist, if you're at
Revolution
3 p.m.
Live Gospel. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Oxford Deaf and Hard of Hearing Centre, you see. The way. Jesus, oh Jesus. Oh look, they're having a dance. Oh yeah. You see what I mean? You walk along Corn Market, right? And you come up with, you get loads of these. People will hand you about 3 or 4. You can't walk along Corn Market on a Saturday without people handing you all kinds of things like that. And here's these guys dancing, rappers, and it looks like hip hop, but it's kind of like a Christian hip hop, live gospel. Okay, so, and you get like artists like that person there doing that lovely picture there, you know. It's hard not to actually not part with your money when you're coming along here, you know what I mean? I'm just going to pick up one of these flyers that these people are handing out. Hello there. Hello. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. So let's have a look at this. Oxford City of Sanctuary AGM Annual General Meeting. Making our city a place of welcome and safety. Please help shape the future of our movement. AGM Town Hall. Thursday 9th of February. All right. I might go along there with my camera like I do. And here we have another thing here. Let me just... Feeding helpless in the face of global refugee crisis. Sanctuary. Support homeless, destitute migrants, asylum seekers and refugees. We match our guests to kind-hearted volunteer hosts in Oxfordshire. All right. Let's have a look at the other side. Oh, it's blank. Right. Okay, so that's another one I've got there. So I'll put that in my pocket with the other. And then we will go along. Now, there was a guy here a moment ago who I actually recognise. I know him. And he's gone now. But he was standing just over there. Stop the war. Oh, stop the war, not stop the wall. I assumed it said wall. Okay, I'm gonna film a bit later. Okay. See you later.
Scapegoating to boost his political fortune. Right now,
This guy's the first speaker.
The US Embassy in London. We're here to protest from 1 o'clock against Trump's racism, against Theresa May's support for his racism. We don't think Donald Trump should be given a state visit, £10 million of public money to fake a racist and a bigot. Join us protesting at 1 o'clock. Let's say Muslims and migrants, refugees, all welcome here. No bans, no walls, sanctuary for all.
He's clearly the opening speaker, obviously. So that's interesting. Yeah, there's several people around. Yeah. So there's not many people here, but I think more are going to gather. I'm guessing that more of them are going to gather. So we'll see what happens anyway. We'll see what happens. This is the spot where I was standing when I had my doppelganger experience. And it was pretty scary. It was pretty unnerving, I can tell you. It was a Saturday like this, and it was very, very busy. And this guy who looked just like me walked past me. I've done a whole video about this, so I don't want to repeat the video I made earlier. But this guy walked past me. I need a selfie stick, really, don't I? And he looked just like me, except he was wearing a suit and carrying a briefcase, had smart shoes. You don't often see me like that. But he didn't just look a bit like me, he looked like me, exactly like me. So if you see anyone else around who I don't notice and who looks like me, it means my doppelganger's back Just put it in. Just put a comment in the comments section, and just tell me, will you? I know it may seem strange. You may think I'm unique, but you know, I'm actually. You know, it could be this someone who coincidentally looks like me, but he looks exactly like me. You know, they say like doppelgangers. You know about how they're a portent of your own death. And so here we are. Yes, and this is the scene here. I know that chap over there. Actually, I'm going to talk to him in a minute. And these people here are giving out their no to racism. Let's get a closer look at the stall. No to racism, don't to Trump. It's the stand up to racism, no to racism, no to Trump. And then we have all these things here. There's a mailing list as well. Day of Action Against Trump. Yeah. That's quite a lot. There's
Where are you from, mate?
hello.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, just looking at your newspapers.
Where are you
I'm from Oxford. Listen,
What are you doing it for?
I'm like a tourist, but I'm a local tourist, yeah. So I'm just having a look around, filming things, like filming what you guys are up to. What's your newspaper? It's a look at that. It's a Socialist Worker.
It is,
Can I have
yeah.
a shot of that? Can I get a shot of your paper? Yeah. Oh, thanks. Dump Trump and sack May. United in bigotry. There you go.
Yeah.
If you want an alternative to, you fancy reading something different, that's what you can read. I'll just give you a little 360 of this location. The High. This is Carfax. This is the official centre of Oxford, where all the road distances are measured from. And there we are, Queen Street. And up there, that's Carfax Tower. That's Carfax Tower there. And it's going to start soon, I think, because it's 1 o'clock. And there's Queen Street with all the shops. There's more shops down there. And that there is St Aldate's. And the event with Mark Linus was basically at St Aldate's Tavern. It's just basically down there on the right. And we come back again to the High Street. And see, some more people are turning up now. There's another chap selling a Socialist Worker newspaper. Like I've just a shot of him, and there's some more people with banners there. And there's a new banner just been put up, actually. Just going to get a shot of that. There we are. Oxford Green Party are here now. So there's a gathering crowd of people, and there's a new banner being put up now. It's hard getting people's way because it's so busy here. Oh, having a bit of trouble there with it, I think. I'll come back to that in a minute. She's having a bit of trouble, poor dear. And that there, I think, is your standard Oxford piss head. Yeah. There's always a few of them around. I think they're around.
Good to see everyone.
Oh, we've got another.
Gathering to protest the defence of migrants, Muslims and refugees.
We've got another one here.
10,000 people outside the US Embassy today. Absolutely massive show of solidarity with the protests in the US.
And this lady's handing out placards.
We've got a lot of placards down here. People want to tool themselves up to make a statement to the public.
There's another chap selling the Socialist Worker newspaper.
The refugees are welcome here. Tell Theresa May.
I hope you can hear it. Fucking, what's he doing? Actually, shut up. There's a guy there. He's heckling, I think, or he's just drunk. But he's trying to shout down the speaker, even though he's got a mug. Here we go. Let's have a look. NASUWT, Oxfordshire Federation. No, I don't know what NASUWT stands for. Teachers, it's something like that. It's not very well put out placard. But more people are gathering. It's getting more and more. It's getting more and more busy. I'm not anonymous here. At 1 o'clock. And that is the sound of Oxford, the bells of Carfax. You always know you're in Oxford when you hear that. Yes, I'm not anonymous here. In fact, I've already met a couple of people who know me. Because like that guy you'll hear him speak in a minute. Ed, the guy I showed you earlier, he knows me because they organise meetings occasionally, him and his group, the Oxford Communist Corresponding Society, and I've been along to a couple of them because, if you go to the Hapanmo Voice, you'll see that I've written reviews of the meetings I went to, because they did one. Do you remember the? Well, of course you remember if you watch regularly, but the old the Roswell slides, right? They actually did a meeting on the Roswell slides. But they were the only organisation in all of Oxford who did held meetings about the Roswell slides. So I went along to their meeting, and they've done another one at the Crystal Skull, which I couldn't go to. But you don't often get. Like I said, they're a Marxist, Leninist, leftist organisation. It's very rare organisations like that will discuss those kinds of subjects. So I was very, very pleased to go along. I had a good time there. You don't have to agree with these guys' politics to be interested in what they have to say, especially when they discuss subjects like this. So there's more people gathering now with placards, and we'll just see what happens. But that's Ed there, the guy. That's Ed. Him, the guy with his back turned there. Right? He's a nice chap. I was talking to him just a few minutes ago. So I'm not anonymous here. People know who I am. Okay, now I've remembered a part of what NASUWT stands for. I know the end is National Association of Something Women Teachers. It's a union for women teachers. Apparently it's not just women anymore, but it originally was. Of course, there's no National Association for Men Teachers because that's sexist. But there's another banner just gone up, and it is Oxford Labour Party. So a lot of people are coming here showing their support. It's a very... Oh, it's noisy now. Oh, it's an ambulance. Yes, you can't hear it. This is what I mean by about when I say it's noisy around here. So this is kind of like a popular front, rather like tooting popular front. Power to the people. I'm showing my age now, aren't I? I do remember Citizen Smith. That's how old I am. Anyone under 20 is going, what's he talking about? But basically, here we are. It's a coalition, I suppose you call it, a coalition. All right, no Wolfie Smiths, just sort of like they look quite sort of, I suppose, like intellectual middle class folk. We'll continue looking around, and as soon as there's another point of interest, I'll let you know. Here comes the chanted slogans.
Say it loud, say it clear. Say it loud, say it clear.
I don't know if you can hear them, but they're saying, say it loud, say it clear, refugees are welcome here. The left are very good at these kind of slogans, actually. They have some very creative chants and things they shout. Some are quite...
Theresa May, hear a shout. Muslims in, racists out. Theresa May, hear a shout. Muslims in, racists out. Theresa May, hear a shout. Muslims in, racists out. Theresa May, hear a shout. Theresa May, hear a shout. Muslims in, racists out. Theresa May, hear a shout. Muslims in, racists out. Theresa May, hear a shout. Muslims in, racists out.
Now they were saying there, Theresa May, hear a shout, Muslims in and racists out. You can hear that, I think. Hear that. It's very difficult actually to move around here. Saturday is a big day for Oxford, and there they are. See, Ed is apparently going to speak, so be interesting. I'll make sure I capture Ed's speech. Okay, here comes the first speaker. And it's this lady there.
Why we are here today? Yes, stop Trump from entering UK. We don't want him here because he doesn't want Muslims in the US. It looks like he got something out of the... he just thought about it and he said, oh, I think this place doesn't belong here. He thought they were not coming. Is it right? Is it right? No. So stop him, and ask Theresa May to do the same. We need to stand up for everybody's rights. We are humans.
I recognise him as well.
Counts.
seen him
We
before.
should stand up for each and every one. Doesn't
He's,
matter which religion or
he was actually very
which,
supportive of the.
upbringing they are from. We need to stand up for our Muslim friends and brothers and sisters. Thank you very much. And the union supports this. Stop racism. Stop racism. Thank you.
It's a brief speech there. As I said, the chap I just filmed, I recognise him because he was very supportive over the People's
Say a few
Supermarket.
words about where the movement's headed at the moment. So obviously Monday we had about 30 protests across the UK, 20,000 people in Whitehall. I gather there's tens of thousands of people, 10,000 people plus outside the US Embassy at the moment. And there's been a call, there's nearly 2 million people have signed a petition calling on Trump's state visit to be cancelled. And there's so many people signed it that Parliament's going to be debating that on the 20th of February. So a National Day of Action has been called. We're very proud in Oxford that we're going to be taking part in that National Day of Action. Hopefully people go away from here and build a protest just like we had last Monday. We want to let the MPs know with absolute certainty that we don't want this racist being given, having £10 million spent on a state visit, being painted by the Queen. The idea of his visit was cancelled and send a message that racists and bigots aren't welcome here. And after that, because what Trump is doing, what he's done is pouring petrol on flames that have been there for a long time now. Since the war on terror, Muslims have been increasingly demonised.
That's the guy from the store, he's there.
Increasingly,
Chap from the store.
politicians are using racist scapegoating against migrants and refugees to boost political fortunes, to create division at the bottom of society. And we're absolutely opposed to that and stand up to racism. And we've seen that racist attacks are on the rise since Brexit. We've seen racist attacks on the rise since Trump's election campaign. And we want to drive that racism back into the gutter. And to do that, we need a mass movement. So on March the 18th, as UN Anti-Racism Day, you're going to see protests right across
Some guy
Europe.
with some drums.
So we'll be going down from here to London.
He's going to
So
play them, I
take
guess.
leaflets for our rally on the 16th, for the protest on the 20th, the National Day of Action, and then on March the 18th, let's all get down to London. Let's put 100,000 people on the street to let Theresa May know, stop the racist scapegoating of migrants and refugees, and stop demonising Muslims. Let's scrap Prevent, that says that children who have bought a toy gun in their school can be held up by the police because they're suspected of being victims of extremism just for being a little boy. But really, just because they're Muslim. Let's put an end to that. Say it loud, say it clear. Say it loud,
he's got
say
the
it
drums.
clear. Say it loud, say it
Percussion
clear.
accompaniment.
Say it loud, say it clear. Say it loud, say it clear. Say it loud, say it clear.
Yeah, we got a percussion accompaniment.
Let's introduce David Williams,
Quite some.
Oxford City Green Councillor.
Oh, this is him, yeah.
Everybody, I'm David Williams.
I know
I'm
this
the leader
bloke.
of the Greens on the County Council.
David Williams, Green
We have a
Party.
man who's just been elected as the next president of the United States, the most powerful position in the world. The majority of those who voted didn't vote for him. His opponent actually got 3 million more. And because of the corrupt system in America, he becomes the president. He has all the hallmarks of a fascist, without any doubt. He's following the traits of the fascists in getting elected by picking on minorities. He's mocked the disabled. He hates Muslims. He's somebody who has had a long-term history of hating Jewish people. He has tried in the last election to make scapegoats of people who are Hispanic, calling them rapists and thieves. He's tried in every way to divide America against itself. But he's been elected, and the rest of the world can see what he's up to in terms of a sense of history because here we have history repeating itself again. We're now 15 days since the inauguration, and in that time he's actually signed more executive orders than Obama did in his first 4 years in office. He is introducing some horrendous things that we expected would happen during his campaign from what he said. It's a simple thing. He says he wants to build a wall. Well, I like the thing on Facebook where some Mexicans have said, yes, okay, a wall will cost you £26 billion. We could go to Walmart for $26, we can actually buy a 24-foot ladder. We'll get over it. The majority of people coming into America, who he calls illegal, actually fly into America. They don't go over fences and walls. Building walls is a symbol of failure. It's a symbol of division in society. He has shown quite clearly that he's anti-Muslim, but only particular Muslims.
I need a selfie stick.
All those countries that he has trading agreements with and financial interests in, such as Saudi Arabia, where the majority of those who've attacked America come from, he doesn't ban them. No, he's banned a whole series of smaller countries which he thinks he can bully around. It's interesting, on the internet, people were asked to describe Mr. Trump in one word. And here are the words: bully, narcissistic, arrogant, disturbed, corrupt, fascist, misogynistic, racist, thick, and emotional. All of those things are true. I've got a word for him, and it's dangerous. It's dangerous at two levels. One, for American people. He's already banned US organisations from promoting abortion. He's clearly against the women's right to choose. He's setting the clock back nearly 40 years in terms of development. He's trying now to abolish the Environment Agency in America. And that's a clear statement that this is a man not to be trusted on environmental improvements. Because if he abolishes the main agency, he stops it. One of his executive orders is incredibly interesting. He's taken away the regulations on Wall Street that Obama introduced after the Great Crash. How long will it be before greed again becomes the main element of Wall Street's activities and we have another crash? What will be his reaction then? But it's his friends in high places who will benefit from that. There's a whole series of things which he's done in terms of executive orders which will affect everybody in American society and set the clock back over 100 years. But also for the rest of the world. He is a man who clearly is an isolationist in terms of trade, and it's disgusting to see Theresa May going there, holding his hands, desperate for any sort of trade deal that could be done after Brexit. But he said openly and clearly, America first, and you and the rest of the world second. So I don't know what sort of trade deal they're actually going to come up with at the end of the day. He's a man who is a warmonger, not against his friend Vladimir Putin, who's helped him in all sorts of ways by funding websites and campaigns to help him get elected. No, he won't be doing that. He wants to pick on China because he thinks that will go down well as their major manufacturers. He wants to have a war. He's filled his cabinet with people who are climate deniers, people who can't even get elected as a judge, as the Attorney General because of their racist statements. We have a situation where his latest promotion for the Supreme Court is a man who is a known racist, who has said openly that he is for the white races. This is clearly a fascist cabinet. And when we go to the situation of him coming here, for various people to be bowing down to him, how can that man be allowed to stand in the footsteps of Nelson Mandela? He is not welcome here. It's as simple as that. And everybody should protest if he's ever allowed into this country. Why would you protest? Because he's coming from a country that promotes terrorism. That's essentially why. And he is a certain person to do it. We need to make a stand. We are not going to live in a society that's divided against itself. We will not support racism. Refugees are welcome here. We will be humane and compassionate even though some people want to bully and be thugs and to attack minorities for the sake of it. We will not do that. We will stand together. And if he comes here, there will be one hell of a demonstration. Thank you.
I think David hit on a really important point there, is that whatever our political differences, whatever our sort of different philosophies on life, whatever our different backgrounds, the key thing here is unity. That's how we're going to beat Trump. Mass mobilisations and unity are what is shaping the response to Trump, the mass demonstrations in the US. And over here, if we want to drive back racism, we know that when the EDL were marching 4,000 racist thugs on the streets, it was mass opposition that stopped them. When the BNP were gaining councillors with their fascist politics, and when they got 2 MEPs, again, it was united mass opposition that broke the BNP. We have to now focus our energies on the mainstream politicians who think it's okay to use migrants as a political pawn to boost their fortunes. And one of the things about the EU referendum, the really depressing thing about it, was how both camps were saying that there's a problem with migration. I work in the NHS. Most of my work colleagues are migrants. Without them, the NHS would collapse. These people are not responsible for the problems in the NHS. We have £22 billion worth of cuts coming through in the next 3 years. A third of accident and emergency departments are facing closure, and we already know what the winter crisis was like. And as soon as we start talking about that in the NHS, as soon as we start saying, what about the cuts? What does Theresa May come back with? We need nurses checking people's passports to make sure they're not robbing our health services. Absolute disgusting racism.
Sorry, mate.
That's not what nurses and doctors' job is. It's to look after sick people. And the few people who get stuck over here needing emergency care when they're away from their own country on holiday are not the problem in our National Health Service, and racism is not the answer. Racism will not save the NHS. Racism will not build any council houses. And I'd like to introduce sorry. I have one of my senior moments there. John Tanner, Labour Councillor. Thank you very much.
John Tanner, Labour Councillor.
Say it loud, say it clear, refugees are welcome here. Say it loud, say it clear, refugees are welcome here. Yeah, I better introduce myself. I'm not Donald Trump. I'm John Tanner, and I'm a councillor here in Oxford, a local Labour councillor, and I'm very pleased to be here. I'm very pleased, Ian, that this protest has been organised. We must go on protesting about Donald Trump and his crazy right-wing fascist ideas and his racist ideas. I think it's hugely important that we stand up to racism, and that's why I'm here today, and lots of other Labour supporters and Labour members are here today. We have to make it absolutely clear that the problems of Britain or the problems of the United States, the problems anywhere else in the world, are not the fault, as Ian was saying, are not the fault of migrants, are not the fault of people from other countries, because we are all from the same planet. We all belong together, sisters and brothers, and it's only by uniting together that we will defeat the kind of nonsenses that we've got with Theresa May and Donald Trump. I want to say one thing about the United States, because Donald Trump is not the United States. Most people voted against Donald Trump, and they stand against the things that he stands for. And I want to remind us all again that on the Statue of Liberty at the bottom, there is a poem written. And this is what it says, or this is part of what it says. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free. That's what made America great. And that's what can make America great again. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free. The United States is a country made up of migrants. That's what it is. And it's important that it stays that way. But it's not just things that go on in the United States with Donald Trump, it's also things that go on in this country with Theresa May. There are all kinds of ways in which this British government is doing the same thing as Trump and trying to blame foreigners, trying to blame migrants for the problems that we have. Let's bring it right home here to Oxford. And by the way, I want to bring the greetings of Oxford City Council over there who support this campaign. And I want to bring greetings too from the Labour Party in Oxford who support this campaign. But if we actually look at the number of people who work in this city, work and live in this city, a quarter of them hold passports which are not British passports. A quarter of us are foreigners. Hooray! And further to that, about half of those people, if you follow the mathematics now, a quarter don't have British passports because they come from all over the world, from the United States, from Australia, from France, from Bulgaria, wherever the people come from. Half of those are from member states of the European Union other than this country. So this city of ours depends on, it must be Donald Trump having a go at me. This city of ours depends on workers from around the world. A quarter of the workforce in Oxford don't hold British passports. And it's important that that continues to be the case. And my message today is to those people, you are welcome here. It's not just the foreign tourists who are welcome, but the foreign workers who are welcome. And it doesn't matter whether they work in the university in research, whether they work in the car factory, whether they work in the hospitals, whether they work caring for the elderly, they are welcome here. And more than that, they belong here. This is your home.
United will never be defeated.
You see, if you only had a decent speaker, he could speak much shorter and say it much better than me. The Workers' United will never be defeated. Exactly the case. Because once we say, well, the reason we haven't got council houses, or the reason we haven't got decent schools, or we can't afford the health service, is because of the people of Botley, or the people of Afghanistan, or the people of somewhere else, then we've lost the argument. We have to say that we stand together, and whatever the impacts of technology, I shall struggle through on this speech. Thank you, Ian. I just want to say one thing. Say it loud, proud. Say it clear. Refugees are welcome here.
Say it loud, say it clear. Refugees are welcome here. Say it loud, say it clear. Refugees are welcome here. Say it loud, say it clear. Refugees are welcome here.
Thank you very much, and keep fighting.
I'd like to introduce Emma from Oxford City Sanctuary, who's been doing work helping refugees to resettle in Oxford.
Thank you for letting me say a few words. Just to say, Oxford City of Sanctuary is part of the national movement campaigning to build a culture of welcome and to take practical steps to make that happen, to make our cities safe and open. And we have got an annual general meeting coming up on Thursday, this Thursday night at 7:30 at the Town Hall. So do please come along to that and find out how you can get involved. We're determined to do our very best in opposition to Trump right here by making those values even more of a reality. And obviously he is attacking sanctuary cities in the United States, so that's interesting. So if you want to do something to really annoy Donald Trump, get involved in the City of Sanctuary movement and say refugees welcome.
Okay, I mean, we talked about migrants, talked about refugees, talked about Muslims. Donald Trump has also made huge attacks on women. We saw that incredible protest, well, the first wave of protests against Trump, with 100,000 in London. God knows how many hundreds of thousands in the US protested. We'd be very honoured to hear from any women activists today. I'd like to say a few words about against Trump's misogyny, about the need to fight sexism. We're very welcome to speak. And also, if we've got anyone from student groups who'd like to come forward, we'd very much like to hear them too. I'd like to introduce Ed Griffiths from the Oxford Stop the War Coalition.
Stop the War with People's Assembly, Stand Up to Racism are the ones who called the demonstration today with the Muslim Association of Britain outside the US Embassy, and we're very pleased that those groups are supporting the protest today, and the National Day back on the 20th.
Well, we're here today to protest against Donald Trump's racist ban on immigration from predominantly Muslim countries. But I think we should also remember that Trump hasn't appeared out of a clear blue sky. Before Trump, there's been a series of politicians from the mainstream parties who have paved the way for Trump. They paved the way for Trump with racist rhetoric, scapegoating migrants, scapegoating refugees, with Theresa May's go home bans, and all of that in the United States and here has helped to make Trump possible, has helped to normalize that rhetoric. In addition to that, we've had the war against terror. For more than a decade and a half, we've had propaganda against Muslims. We've had war and destruction being rained down in the Middle East. Why are there refugees trying to flee from Iraq, from Libya, from Yemen, from other countries? It's because of the wars that have been fought, that the United States and Britain have been fighting and continue to fight in those countries. The result of the war against terror is that it's created ISIS and it's paved the way for Donald Trump. So we in the anti-war movement stand absolutely against Trump's racism, against fascism, and also against war. And we've seen already in the first days and weeks of the Trump administration that any hope people might have had that it was only campaign rhetoric, that he wasn't going to do these things, those hopes are gone. The Trump administration is implementing all of the policies, racist and fascist policies, that Trump campaigned on. And for that reason, we need to be very aware of some of the other things that they're saying, of the ultimatums that they're throwing out against Iran, against North Korea. Trump's promise to move the US Embassy to Jerusalem, further inflaming the situation in the Middle East. And the threat of war against China. Stephen Bannon, Trump's chief of staff, said only last year that he thinks a war with China is inevitable within 5 or 10 years. We have to stand against that. We have to protest vigorously against the warmongering plans of the Trump regime. And we also need to stand against the British government appeasing Trump. The first response when Trump was elected from the British government was Theresa May scuttling off to Washington DC to hold Trump's hand to help to normalize and endorse his policies and his plans. And so our message to the British government is stop appeasing Trump, stop normalizing Trump's racism and warmongering, absolutely no state visit, and we need a British government that will dissociate itself from Trump. If the present government won't do it, we need to get ourselves a government that will. Stop Trump and stop British appeasement of Trump. Thank you.
I'm going to have to stop filming simply because the battery, I've got to save the battery for later.
We hope that
Israel and America.
that
we are united against racism, Islamophobia, anti-Semitism.
It's a flag.
Welcome here in this country, and we plead to everyone, even Theresa May and Donald Trump, not to spoil.
Theresa May, hear us shout, Muslims in, racists out. Theresa May, hear us shout,
Muslims in, racists out.
Theresa May, hear us shout,
Muslims in, racists out.
Theresa May, hear us shout,
Muslims in, racists out.
Theresa May, May, hear us shout.
Muslims in, racists out.
Okay, I'm going to have to leave now. I'm going to go off to work, so I'm going to head off.
Theresa May, hear us shout.
So I'm off to work now. I'm going to have to leave now. And there is my last shot there of the protest. Behind the bus there, you'll see him in a minute. Okay, I've come to the river to film. I'm actually heading for work now. I won't. I'll point the camera myself just briefly. I'm sorry that the bus ruined my parting shot of the protest. I was hoping to get like a wide-angle shot of the protest from across the road, but it didn't work because that bus got in the way. Yeah, so there's the Salter steamers there. So I'll let you see the river. I won't point the camera at myself. Would you prefer to see the river, or would you prefer to see my face? Silly question. So yeah, well, let nobody ever accuse me again of living in an echo chamber. Let nobody say to me that I'm only interested in yes men, and that all I'm interested in hearing my own side of the story, because I'm not. I want to hear both sides of the story, which is why I was there when I went to the protest. And yeah, it's interesting stuff. I'm sorry I couldn't film the whole thing, but the battery, I've got how much have I got on the battery? I've got 25 minutes on the battery now, so I might have to finish this commentary off at home. Once I get home, I'll keep filming for as long as the battery lasts. I'll stop recording at a certain point and just before it runs out, and then save the file so that later on, if the battery runs out, then I won't lose any footage, or wouldn't lose much footage. Now, so something we can draw from this. That obviously was not like Berkeley campus the other night with the Milo Yiannopoulos. It wasn't. These are peaceful people, peaceful demonstrators. I managed to film about 2/3, I'd say, of the protest. I hadn't finished when I left, as you saw, but there was no trouble. The whole time I was there, even when I was filming or when I was not filming, there was no trouble. It was all peaceful. They were just there to listen to the speakers and chant their chants about racist, was it racist attack, fight back, or something like that. They're very good, the left, at these particular slogans, as I said. They're quite creative, some of these things they shout, these little rhymes. I think also I'm going to have to start a new hashtag. Hashtag not all leftists. Yeah, I mean, one thing's for clear, that leftists in general are not evil. Okay, that's you may think they are based on the conduct of some of them, but obviously they're not all evil. Now, this is an important thing to know. I mean, to be honest, I went through a trade unionist. As I said, I went through a phase when I was a trade unionist. I consider it a bit of a lost weekend, but it didn't last long, luckily. In fact, I was only hardcore for about a year. And this was when I was starting out in hospital portering. I got into trade unionism, and it's a long story. But I wasn't in it for very long. I very quickly became very disillusioned with it, and left it. And became the kind of fascist anti-Semite that I am today. Brackets, disclaimer, I'm only joking. I'm neither of those things. So they're not evil. I think the people I met today and the people I saw, and I thought, what I'll do is I've bought a copy of that Socialist Worker newspaper. So I'll read that when I get home, and I'll film myself. I'll show it you later. I'll film myself reading it. But those I talked to, I knew one of them. In fact, I vaguely know David Williams as well. I know Ed from the Edmund Griffiths. What's clear is they're not. I think they're well-meaning. I think they actually are. When they say they're motivated by compassion for others, for the refugees and things, I think they mean it. We've got this image of leftists of being kind of smelly, scowly-faced kind of thugs. Some of them are, of course, who just want to kill all white people, or feminists who want to kill all men, etc., etc. And of course, you can't label all of them that way. Not all leftists. Hashtag not all leftists. Yeah. They seem to be. I think they mean well. I think they believe what they're saying. They're not lying. They're not deceitful. Not these people. I mean, David Williams, the guy, the Green Party man. His speech was the most interesting because his was the most factual about Trump, and the things he said about Trump were the most rather than being rhetorical, they were sort of factual in nature. They were factually wrong, but they weren't just kind of like rhetoric, propaganda, emotional persuasion. He made some logical claims. And I've got to address those. I mean, I like David Williams. He's not, I don't agree with him, but he's a good guy. I mean, when we had the People's Supermarket, I don't know if you remember that, where I used to work on Cowley Road, he actually came along and supported us. He was one of the first. He was our first customer, and he donated a lot of money. So yeah, he's not a bad chap. But the things he said about Trump, obviously, I mean, I've already talked about this, but I think he's wrong. I think he's being, ironically, he is actually stating that a lot of the things that he says about Trump, you can actually say about Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton and lots of the other his former presidents, the establishment presidents. And this is an important point. I mean, I'll reiterate it again. Trump is a non-establishment figure. Okay, I know that people will disagree with me from all sides, from the left-wing side or from the conspiratorial shillhead side of things. As I've talked about before. But he is. He's a self-made man. He funded his own campaign largely. He did accept donations. It's not true that he didn't accept donations from anyone, but his campaign was largely self-funded. He's rich. Rich does not equal connected. That's the important point. Okay, that's what we've got to realise. Rich does not equal necessarily connected, part of the establishment. Trump was rich, but he was never an insider. He's never been well, maybe he's becoming one now, but he's never been one before. His racism. Well, do we need to go over that again about how whenever you hear someone calls someone a racist, okay, 99% of the people accused of racism are innocent. As with anti-Semitism, as with misogyny, homophobia, all these other little leftist buzzwords, okay? 99 times out of 100, a person accused of that is going to be innocent. Okay, it's almost like a kind of law. A leftist accuses you of being a racist, misogynist, homophobe, rapist, sexist, etc. 99 times out of 100, you're going to be innocent. In fact, words like racism have... This is the sad thing. Of course, there is real racism in the world. There's real misogyny. There's homophobia. These things are real. But they've lost their meaning. When they've lost the word is so overused and misused. These slur words. That when the real thing along, they're so overused. They become meaningless and they become distorted. They've lost their I say they're overused and misused to the point where when the real thing comes along, people don't recognise it. This is why they couldn't grasp the fact that Hillary Clinton is a traitor to women. She's the worst thing that could possibly happen to women's rights if Hillary Clinton had got into power. But but people were saying, oh, but she's going to be the first woman president. I'm afraid you have to learn to see past her bloody fanny, okay? Just because she's a woman herself doesn't mean she's a good thing for women in general. She is as I said, this is the thing, you see, like David Williams was talking about Trump's misogyny, apparent misogyny, alleged misogyny. Trump made a joke about sexually assaulting women 11 years ago to a load of other guys when he didn't realise he was being filmed. which is something I suppose it's a sort of silly thing that us blokes sometimes do. And because we're in the company, we think no one else will hear us. We don't. We do it because we know there's no one around who's going to be offended, unless they're secretly filming you. Trump makes jokes about sexually assaulting women. Hillary Clinton's actually done it. According to Cathy O'Brien in her book Transformation of America and Access Denied, the 2 books she wrote. These books have been in print for close to 30 years now, and no one has ever sued. Hillary Clinton could shut that book down in a half-hour court session if she wanted to, but she will not. She will not give Cathy O'Brien her day in court because she knows the accusations are real. Hillary Clinton has sexually abused women, including a young girl, according to Cathy O'Brien. It's not true. Why won't she sue her? Bill Clinton. Now, the 21 women who accused him of sexual impropriety, everything from groping and harassing to full rape. You could say, well, he's a political men, they're political guys, they make enemies, these powerful people, and maybe these were false accusations levelled at him. Well, firstly, it's 21 false accusations, maybe, but why in that case, again, were these weren't investigated by the police and the prosecutions were shut down? Again, they're basically these women were given hush money. And guess who organised it? Guess where that money came from and who organised that? Hillary Clinton. And David Williams, don't call Trump a misogynist in light of these facts, okay? You are distorting the situation. And again, he mocks disabled people. This is all stuff we've heard before. He apparently, supposedly mocked some guy who had Parkinson's disease or something, and that's not actually. It's only like the clip of him doing it is less than a second long. It's literally a split second of him, dancing around in a funny way. Well, why won't they show us the rest of the scene? Could it be because, as Trump said, he wasn't really? and then he came on to an issue which is not false, but one which I just categorically disagree with him on. He said Trump is attacking abortion rights. Trump is trying to turn the clock back on abortion and remove a woman's right to choose. Well, that's true, but it is something I support Trump on. Now, I'm not talking much about this because I've never actually talked about my views on abortion. Now, people have asked me. I had a letter the other day. People have asked me what I think. I'm going to go onto this little paddling pool now. Look at this little pontoon thing here. Yeah, it's nice, isn't it? Oh, it's lovely, this bit of the river. So people will say, well, what do you think about abortion? Basically, I am pro-life. And I'm afraid if that offends any of my subscribers, well, I'm sorry. I'm not going to lie to keep subscribers. And Trump, you see, people talk about the woman's right to choose as if it's like about choosing a new dress. What we're talking about is what is a human life. And I know that whenever I bring this up, right, I know what's going to happen. Some feminist is going to say, but you're a white male and you're telling a woman what if a woman gets raped? Are you saying, you as a white male, that she should go and have the baby? You should force her to have the baby. You always get that. It's of course it's a complete ad hominem, but you can absolutely guarantee someone will make that pseudo point. My answer to that is very simple. I answer the question with a question. I say, well, forget who I am. Firstly, there's two answers I could give to that. Firstly, well, forget who I am. Forget it's a white male speaking. What would you say if it wasn't a white male speaking to you? What if it was a woman who had been raped? And she said, I don't think I should have the right to terminate my pregnancy. What would you say to her? And secondly, you could turn it into a question and say, well, look, put it another way. If you were the child conceived, would you want to live or die? And then the call goes out. But it's not a person, it's an embryo, it's a little cluster, it's a clump of cells. A little cluster of cells. Well, a cluster of cells is all we are. That's all I am. At what point, you see, it's a larger cluster of cells than an embryo, but it's still a cluster of cells. And at what point does one become the other? Because an embryo is a human being. An embryo, a fetus, is a human being in an earlier stage of life. It's all very. I mean, most countries have laws about there's a cut-off point in gestation before they will not perform when they will not perform a termination. There's a cut-off point in gestation. I'm going to carry on down here, which is again, it's so ethically contradictory, and it's the ethical equation just does not add up. So at 20, say it's 20 weeks. Before 20 weeks of gestation, it's a fetus, an embryo that can be legally terminated. After 20 weeks of gestation, so just then the clock strikes midnight, and it's 20 weeks and 1 day old, and suddenly it's a human being on which you cannot end its life. How do we know? How do we know? Well, why? I mean, does that mean at that moment, do people know at that moment something fundamentally changes about the baby so it becomes a real person? Oh. You see what I'm saying? Of course, there are situations when a termination is necessary for medical reason, an ectopic pregnancy, some other problem. If a woman gets pregnant and it could endanger her life, like an ectopic pregnancy will kill. But then, of course, you have to terminate that pregnancy because, well, it'll kill the mother and the baby as well anyway. So an ectopic pregnancy is doomed from the very moment it appears. That's where the baby starts growing, in the fallopian tubes, not in the uterus. And this is not a religious thing. I'm from a Roman Catholic family, but I'm completely lapsed. Okay, so I'm not supporting the church's line on this. Okay, this is a secular human rights issue. So that's my position on abortion. And so David Williams is not lying about what Trump said. Trump has said this, but the difference is David opposes him. I support him on that. And the battery's always flat now. Just going to stop the camera for a moment. Okay, just going to start recording again. I think the camera's going to cut out at some point, in which case I will just carry on this at home. And so that's probably the best thing to do. In fact, I don't want this annoying thing where it just suddenly cuts off in the middle of a sentence. But it's a lovely day here on the River Isis in Oxford, which you know is the Thames. The moon is up there in the sky, and the clouds. There's no chemtrails. Pure blue sky. You don't often see that. It's quite warm and balmy today. It's a nice winter's afternoon. And so I'm going to go home and we'll carry on. I'll carry on with the video there. Okay. Right, I'm back. I've got the camera plugged in now, so battery's charging and it's on the mains. Now, going back to more of what David Williams said, he made all kinds of other comments about Trump. I mean, many of them I have addressed already in previous films on this channel. So I'm not going to go through them all, but he did say a few things that I should mention. One of them is, I think he called Trump a warmonger or something. He was going to go to war with China, and he was friendly with Vladimir Putin. Well, being friendly with Vladimir Putin, I think, is one of the things I like about him. Putin is, as I've said on one of my UFO disclosure videos, he's one of the few statesmen on earth I feel any sense of affection or respect for. One of the others is, of course, Donald Trump. He also, Williams, I think, basically said, oh my God, the world's going to be destroyed now because Trump's in. Trump's going to start a war, etc., etc., etc. He's going to attack China. He's going to attack all these various different places. And again, it's this strange projection of, or reversal. Everything that people say about Donald Trump, Hillary Clinton is really guilty of. As I said in the previous videos, I mean, by American standards, I mean, Trump is actually something of a pacifist almost. He, for example, he look at what Hillary Clinton was planning on doing. A no-fly zone in Syria. She wanted to continue the war on terror, have a no-fly zone in Syria. That would inevitably lead to conflict with Russia. Well, that could have, as I've said on previous videos, I think we didn't. I said in my video, President Trump, that we dodged a bullet when Trump got elected. I'd say we dodged a Russian nuclear missile. It's probably more accurate. Now, the racist thing about immigration, Trump's position on immigration. Again, you've got to say to yourself, well, and these people, of course, one of their slogans was "Refugees welcome here," so we bring in refugees. But Trump, of course, is going to stop that, and they say, well, he's a racist, he's Islamophobic, he won't, things like this. The fact of the matter is, Trump's actually going to do more good for refugees than in the first year of his presidency than Barack Obama did in all 8. He's negotiating, I think, with the King of Saudi Arabia and with 7 other places to set up, or he's negotiating with some senior official in the Middle East to set up safe zones for refugees in Syria and Yemen. And I've talked about this before. I think I talked about this on my Mark Linus video. Yeah, that's a good thing. That means that the Syrian refugees can be cared for in their own countries, which is far, far more economical. It's, I think, it costs about 10% as much to care for a refugee in Syria or Yemen as it does to transport them halfway around the world and try and integrate them into Western societies. As I've said in previous videos, bringing all these alien cultures into the West is a part of the agenda to destroy our cultures and our societies and break down social cohesion. This is not an attack against the people, but the people, the refugees themselves, are as much victims of this as we are, and they're being used just as much as we are. And I've said before, you must never, if you feel angry about the situation with immigration, and you must never ever attack individual people. You must never ever attack the immigrants themselves, or feel you need to punish the immigrants themselves. Okay, it's not their fault. The fault lies with the powers that be, the organisations and the individuals running society. So that's an important point. What was that? What else did David Williams say? Yeah, David, he said Trump is he's packing his administration with climate change deniers. Well, as I said on my Mark Linus video, this is similar to the abortion issue. Yes, he is. That's a good thing, because I am a climate change denier. That's well. I mean, I wouldn't use that terminology. That is a dysphemism specifically intended to smear someone. You know, it's like Holocaust denier, climate change denier. But yeah, I believe that man-made climate change is not real, as I was explained on my previous video about Mark Linus. What else did David say? He made several other points about Trump that I can't quite recall them all, but I think I have addressed the main ones, and any that I've not addressed in this video, I have addressed in my particular dedicated videos towards the US presidential election and Donald Trump. So, well, now let's have a look at that newspaper, The Socialist Worker. I've not read it before. Right, well, let's have a look at it. It's clearly a tabloid of some kind. It's the same design as like the Fleet Street Red Tops. It's a Socialist Worker there with a big red star. Number 2039, 1st to the 7th of February. It's a weekly. Okay, so and here we are. Take to the streets against Trump. Saturday the 4th of February. That's today. It mentions several places here, but not Oxford. You remind so this is a dump truck. So it's Dump Trump, Sack May. A movement erupts, and there's a big page of 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 and 11 and 14 and 15. Is it just me, or do they seem to have a little bit of a fixation on Donald Trump, these people? Let's have a look. Right, Trump unleashes racist attack with Muslim ban. Yeah, it's one of the things that one of the speakers said today was, if you remember, that he's not banning people from Saudi Arabia and things like that. And well, I suppose you could argue that there are Muslim countries in the world. There are plenty of countries in the world with a much larger population of Muslims, like India, Pakistan. I think India, Pakistan, Indonesia, and Nigeria, I think, have 3/4 of the world's Muslims. But there's no ban on those countries. So you see, but in a sense, this is partly Trump's fault, I think, because it was part of his electioneering. He would use language like this during his electioneering campaign. You know, he would say, "I want to stop Muslim." He actually did say he wanted to have a moratorium on Muslim immigration. Rage erupts across Britain as tens of thousands join demos, and as you can follow them on Twitter and Facebook and things like that. And here's a list of various protests. Page 3, page 4. Here we go. And I've got this little inset here. There we go. Got a little inset. LGBT History Month event. I think it's meant to be Pride there, but the Pride is kind of faded. It's not a very well printed thing. Pride, politics and protest. A revolutionary guide to LGBT liberation. And then there's the rest of the man's away. Wednesday the 8th of February. SWP meeting. SW must be Socialist Workers something. Socialist Workers Party? I imagine so. Stop being racist, you wankers. Oh my goodness me, some swearing. But anyway, stay on the streets and escalate. Beat back the bigots. Resistance sweeps across US in response to Trump's racist ban. What's this? Tory's immigration system is a racist hell for refugees. Prepare to protest when Trump comes to Britain. Oh, yeah. Time to get rid of this sick capitalist system. It's corporate feudalist, not capitalist. And there's more pictures about Trump. They've got Trump on the brain, these guys. And then we have an editorial. Alex Kalinikos. Never heard of him. Gamble on Trump will surely backfire. Bombed then banned. US crimes in travel ban state. Well, yeah. I mean, this is actually important, but this is a good point. It's true. Where's all these bombs coming from? These weapons. I mean, Yemen. There's a war going on. Well, they call it a war. It's a slaughter by Saudi Arabia against Yemen with British bombs, and Britain has actually funded it. They funded the Saudi Arabia and their bombing campaign in Yemen, Syria, Sudan. They're not in the house at the moment, but I live with some guys from Sudan, and it's one of the world's biggest sources of refugees due to ethnic cleansing and the brutal regime of President Omar al-Bashir. Well, US sanctions were enforced until this year. They were overturned by Barack Obama, not Trump, Barack Obama. It's interesting that it was Obama actually who first drew up this list of nations of concern. So in a sense, all Trump is doing is he's kind of enforcing a policy that was already started by Obama. And again, I mean, Ahmad Jelly and Hossan, they don't talk much about their own country, and I don't ask them questions about it, about really why they're here, why they've come to live in England. We don't have that much of I don't have that much of a close relationship with my housemates. We keep ourselves to ourselves. We're friendly, we're friendly. We get on okay, but we're not chummy. Not like a family. Somalia, Libya, Iran. All right. Iraq. Oh, so well, again, it is true. I mean, the wars that have broken out in those countries, which have been the war on terror, which Hillary Clinton would have continued. This is the thing. I mean, Trump looks like if he does what he's promised, then he'll end this and bring the troops home. Whether he will or not, I don't know. I mean, whether he will, I'm not sure. May sign shameful deal with Turkish dictator. Yeah. Well, what do you expect? And yeah, job centres targeted in Tory assault on the poor. Now, I've done an entire video about this, and it actually is true that there's this awful, things like universal credit and workfare and things like that. Well, I've talked about that, and I've told you before what an obscenity I think workfare is. It is disgraceful. I've done an entire video called "Get a Job, You Lazy Scroungers," and I talk about Job Centre Plus, and I talk about how they're making people work for no money and things like that, and it is it's an abomination. Richest 0.01%. Dodge more tax as children fall into stark poverty. Yeah. Right. Labour MPs set to defy Corbyn on Brexit bill. Some of them did. Yeah. Corbyn is right to reject Tory plans and trigger Article 50, but Labour rebels weaken him. Oh, right. The right-wing Labour Party. Thing is, Corbyn actually. Jeremy Corbyn is actually another of these politicians I quite like. I quite respect him. He's. I don't agree with him on a lot of things, as I don't agree with Trump on many things. But I like his. I just like his. He's sincere. He's one of these few people in politics who actually gives a damn about anything. He's actually there as a matter of principle, and he comes to the head of the Labour Party. I mean, he's in a difficult situation because the Labour is very precarious at the moment because they have now an old left leader from the old. He's like an old socialist. They have a mixed new left and old left membership, but the middle management, these people surrounding him, are all champagne shows socialist new left scumbags basically. So Corbyn, I wonder if he'll continue to be leader. I hope he is, because, like I said, he's one of the few people in politics I would trust. He's one of the few people I would actually be willing to respect, show any form of respect at all. Just simply because he is a man of principle, and some of the things he has principle about are concerns which I share, like poverty, like employment rights, things like that. These old left principles are ones that I go along with. U-turn on nuclear is an error. Labour is fighting a by-election in Cumbria. Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn has dropped his opposition to nuclear power. See, this is his problem. He's got Ian's thing there, right? Corbyn has always spoken out against the European Union. He along with Tony Benn and a few of the other Labour leftists in the 80s, he was always opposed to the European Union. But he becomes Labour leader, and he's appeasing this middle management. So he says that he's then in favour of Remain. When I know he is not. I mean, he really should come clean on that. He should be honest about that. Corbyn's right. Bernie Sanders is similar to Corbyn, except with Bernie Sanders, I quite respected Bernie Sanders until the point where he endorsed Hillary Clinton. Stupid old fool. What was he thinking of? Endorsing Hillary Clinton. Betraying all those people who support him, who raised all that money. 200 million they raised for his campaign, and he endorses Hillary Clinton. Oh, he should have fought to the bitter end, even if he's got to go down. He should have gone down and refused to. Right, what's this? Trump's migrant crisis ban causes airport chaos. Racism isn't working. Actually, I'm queuing to get out of the US. Let the bubble burst. Now, this is letters. This is a letters page here. The rich are worthless. Oh, well, you see, this is what I don't like about the left. It's not a crime to be bloody rich. All right, if you made your millions fair and square, good, well done. Trump, I think, is one of these people. He's a self-made man. What's wrong with that? He's provided jobs for so many people. Right, back Corbyn, but critically. Don't trust the Tories on the NHS. Oh, that's a bit of an old one, isn't it? Don't trust the Tories on the NHS. People talk about people. It's funny, like Owen Jones, he's another leftist. I quite like him. He's cool. He's a bit silly. He's sort of like a sweet little kid, really. He looks like, but I don't agree with him on a lot of things. But his YouTube channel's quite entertaining, and he's got into an argument with Daniel Bostock as well, which is very very amusing. But what was he saying? He was saying. He was arguing with this guy because he was talking about Paul Nuttall, the new leader of UKIP. The guy who looks like Harry Hill. And he was saying that, Nuttall's in favour of privatising the NHS. And it's true, Nuttall talked about private investment into the NHS. And Owen doesn't agree with that. I don't agree with that. But it's kind of a fait accompli. I mean, anyone who says we've got to privatise the NHS is kind of like saying we've got to dilute this water. Done and dusted, it's over. The NHS is privatised. I've watched it happen. Don't get me started on that. And I'm not a socialist, but I think it degenerated. When privatisation was very, very bad for the NHS, I think it's degenerated under privatisation. Disability benefits cuts are a killer. Of course they are. Is the air we can breathe too much to expect? In London last week, we were told the air is toxic and we should stay indoors and reduce activity. Oh my God. Oh, it's Trumpy again. It's Trumpy. How do we beat Trump? They eat, live, sleep and breathe Donald Trump, these guys. And there's a special centre page feature. It is like a tabloid, actually. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of Militant. There was a newspaper called Militant, which I used to actually help sell during my brief hiatus as a trade unionist in my late teens. As I said, I was hardcore for less than a year, but I used to actually help sell the Militant, which is very similar to this. I don't know if is the Militant still around, the Militant newspaper? But it's very similar to this. How do we beat Trump? Resist Trump's hate. Huge protests erupt following the inauguration of Donald Trump. Yeah. There's no mention. I mean, this is the thing. It's there's no mention of the violence. There's a campaign to actually label anti-fascists as a terrorist organisation, which is true. It should be. This is the thing. Trump immediately responded to the anti-fascist attack on UC Berkeley campus. He said that he would cut federal funding for the university if they didn't allow free speech for Milo and didn't allow him in. And I was talking earlier on about the violence that people. A young woman got pepper sprayed. There's people throwing bricks, smashing ATMs, there's cash points and things like that. And yeah, it's now Trump. When the Black Lives Matter protests were going on before the election, or just after the election, when these violent hooligans were wandering the street, attacking random white people, they say, "If you white, let's beat them up." Right? Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton, all of them, what's his name, Podesta, all of them, they refused to condemn that. They would not condemn that violence. Trump has immediately condemned the violence on UC Berkeley, and he's going to cut. He says he's going to take action against them. He'll cut federal funding to the college. He says you do not. He's. This is what I like about him. This is one of the things I like about him. And there's various people here talking about how they're dealing with anger. See, Sonia, I think this is Sonia here, has stressed the need to stay active and said that anger at Trump could grow. Right. There's Carmen. This lady here with the deerstalker. Mike McCabe in New York, this is an American chap. Adelia Schiffer. These are all Americans, I think. Keith Rose, and Fiona Watson. I don't know who these people are. Well, what's this? What's on? Right. Socialist worker branch meetings. Oh, there's different branches. Let's have a look. They got one in Oxford. Well, there's no branch in Oxford. Doesn't look like there is. Yeah, I bet they have in Liverpool, Dorchester, York. Dorchester's a bit closer. Can Trump be stopped? Telford, Swansea, Southampton, Newcastle, Manchester. Oh yeah, Bradford, Brighton, Coventry. Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot fighting for LGBT plus liberation. What we stand for, the core values of the Socialist Worker Party, and it's basically Marxists from the Communist Manifesto, things like that, I imagine. Under capitalism, yeah, workers' labour creates profit. A socialist society constructed where the working class seizes control of the means of production. Yeah, straight out of Marx. And of course, it's coming up to it's very close to it's the centenary this year of the Bolshevik Revolution. And so I'll be saying more about that, I think, on Hapanwo Radio. I'll do a special Hapanwo Radio show about that. Now, reviews and culture, alternative facts. Oh, this is about the film Denial, and I'm going to cover that separately because I'm doing a separate video about this very subject, so I'm going to leave that there. Let's go over here. History and theory. Right. Oh, March. This is the Women's March. How do we follow up on the huge worldwide demonstrations against Trump? Simon Basker says we have to look at the streets, and these are the purple hats. One of the speakers, they have on these purple hats. I remember, I didn't get to film it because my battery. I'm sorry, my battery ran low, so I couldn't film the whole event. I couldn't film all the speakers. But I think the ones I did film would have given you an idea. They gave you an idea of it. History and theory. Irish Revolutionary James Connolly. There's a book here, The Revolutionary Ideas of Karl Marx by Alice Kallinikos. That was the editor, I think, the newspaper's editor. And there's different, there's various things here. There's an awful lot here. There's an awful lot to read. I mean, I don't know if I'll get through it all. 1905, a dress rehearsal to set the stage for 1917. That's talking about the Russian Revolution. Of course, I've done a radio show about Rasputin. It's on Hapanwo Radio, so check that out. But it talks about the various upheavals in Russia, which led to the end of the Tsar and the start of the Soviet Union. Yeah, so I'm interested in things like that. I'm interested in history and stuff like that. I'll have a read of that. Social workers besiege council boss. Oh, blimey. I wonder if they, for common purpose, so you can join the Socialist Workers' Party. Here's a workers, SWP, that's it, yeah. Subscribe to the Socialist Worker. Unison won't let us out. Unison, oh, right. I used to be a member of Unison. I remained a trade union member, actually, even when I was no longer, even though I turned against trade union activism, I still remained a trade union member. Maybe that's hypocritical of me, I don't know. Labour demolition sparks outrage among tenants. They're knocking down Haringey residents taking the Labour to council over redevelopment that would destroy 7 estates in North London. They're going to knock down these houses, that's not nice. No. Millwall beat council plan. Tory bill will boost bosses. Oh, yeah. It's over here. Oh, reports. Walkout in Woolwich takes on ferry bosses. 6 days of strikes to hit British Airways. End of the line for Govia. Bristol fights police racism. Tube walkouts could go. Of course, there's the strikes, aren't there, in London. I don't blame them actually for going on strike, because the bloody transport in London, was it Transport for London? It used to be called London Transport, and they've rebranded it Transport for London. Very original, that, isn't it? They want to reduce staff. They want to have no staff on stations. They want to bring in more driverless trains and things like that, like the Docklands Light Railway. I'm going to do a special video on driverless trains, actually, because it's rather like the guided buses. I think there are real implications for all of us on that, so I'll do that. I will do a driverless trains video. Revolt against Kings. Kings. Oh, King's College London. The cleaners at King's College London struck on Thursday. Massive workloads and understaffing. Yeah, it's. This is what's annoying. This is my hospital. What was like in my hospital. I find it hard now to remember, but I mean I can remember the stress of, they would cut staff down, and then our workload increased massively, and they wouldn't give us any new staff. Right, okay, we're at the back page. Surgical strikers say low pay won't cut it. Workers who disinfect, sterilise surgical equipment, that's the HSSU, yeah. In Abertawe Bromagano University Health Board feel undervalued. Right, well, this is, honestly, right, when I was a trade union, it was what, 25 years ago, when I was briefly a trade unionist. And these headlines could simply be taken straight out of The Militant, which I used to sell and read back then, and planted into this paper 25 years later. The same problems are still there. It sometimes feels like, well, I mean, obviously I don't share the views of these people, but I can understand the frustration. As I said, I don't think they're bad people, I don't think they're evil. I think they're just misguided. And it hasn't changed. It hasn't changed. Nothing's changed. Now we'll go to the back page. Sports. What's the sports page at the back? What's going on with football in North Korea? No. We're going to fight NHS cuts and not something about Trump for a change. Well, yeah. I mean, this is exactly what I was going through in all those years, all that time ago, when I was really into this sort of stuff. It's exactly the same. You know, cuts, privatisation, closures. Health bosses have hired bouncers to shield themselves from growing anger at consultation meetings. Oh man. Save Fulham hospitals. Anyway, that's interesting to read. A socialist worker. Okay, if you ever want to read something a little bit alternative, you know what to do. Go out and buy a copy of Socialist Worker. You don't have to agree with it to find it interesting. As I said, I don't agree with it, but I'm glad I bought it. It's interesting to read. £1, that's all it was. So check it out. I've seen people, I think, selling them on the streets before. So you get guys in city centres selling them. Oh well, that's very, very all very interesting indeed. So very interesting, an interesting day. I'm glad I went along. As I said, I want to hear both sides of every story. Obviously, I don't agree with what those people were saying, most of what they were saying. Not all of it, some of it I do agree with. But I have a favourable attitude towards Donald Trump, where they are clearly very, very opposed to him. Now, I've been described as a Donald Trump supporter. I don't know if that's accurate to use the word supporter. I think enthusiast, definitely. I'm a Donald Trump enthusiast. I think his election is a good thing. I think he is someone I would have voted for if I had been American. And as I've said in the past, on past videos, it's not so much who Donald Trump is and what he's like. It is instead the fact that someone like him could become president. Donald Trump, whether you love him or hate him, you have to accept that he's not an establishment candidate. He's not in the same way that Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, George W. Bush, that they are. He's not an establishment candidate. He is a guy who's very, very independent. He's not connected to any of these things. There are worrying signs that he is possibly joining the establishment he's never been a part of before. I'll say more about that in a future video. I've already covered it on a Hanoi Voice. But Trump himself is an aberration. He is somebody who's really not supposed to be president. It's that simple. And the fact that he's become president is a sign of the hidden hand failing. Because as I've said before, I've said this before and I've explained, I've talked about this, I've written about this. For a whole year I've been talking about the US presidential election. And one thing I have said categorically is that from the beginning is that Hillary Clinton was going to win. And she didn't. And the articles are all up there on her Hanoi Voice. You can see where I've been wrong. I've talked about it on Mal Mindset, I've talked about it on Hanoi Radio. I've been wrong, and then you can see exactly where my errors are. Okay? I'm not going to remove those articles or edit them. Now, if the hidden hand is really losing its grip to the extent where we can have Brexit and Donald Trump can become the US president and Jeremy Corbyn can become leader of the opposition, if the hidden hand is really that, it is really failing, it is really its grip is loosening so much, what does it mean? This is the question. Hang on, I'm going to just plug the camera in again, one moment. There are not many possibilities, okay, because I've made predictions before in the past. I've been quite good with predictions. I've made predictions ever since I became a conspiracy theorist. I've made predictions about the world, about what's going to happen, and I've been pretty accurate because when you realise what the hidden hand is, you can see it. You can see its machinations and its movements. And in 2016, my predictions, which had previously been very good, became wrong. Now, what explanation is there for that? One possibility, of course, which is inevitably going to be suggested to me, is that the hidden hand just doesn't exist, and I've been chasing an illusion. I've been simply mistaken. I've been believing in something it's unreal. I don't think so, because for reasons that I've stated before, I do think that the hidden hand exists. This is based on observation, analysis, and careful study. The only other possibility, well, there is the possibility this is just, the hidden hand is still there. It's just that Donald Trump and Brexit and Corbyn and all these things are simply meant to happen. They're part of the plan. And of course, this is where I get the shill heads and people like that, and all these posers come out of the woodwork and they say, Ben, you've been fooled, but we're clever enough. We're clever enough to see through this, and we know that it's just a big scam, and that Trump is just another part of the system. And you've been fooled, you idiot. And the thing is, whenever people say that to me, I always ask them, well, by your definition, what would a non-establishment candidate look like? If Trump is not non-establishment, what would a non-establishment candidate look like? And they can't answer me. These are the people who just say, well, they don't say that the hidden hand is failing. Their explanation is that the hidden hand is still there, but it's just become so crafty and so subtle that we can no longer perceive it. In which case, it becomes a bit of an unfalsifiable hypothesis then, because nothing that ever happens can be accepted as the end of the New World Order, or a failure of the New World Order, or something that's not meant to happen in the conspiracy, in the agenda, okay? Which means that we could be 100 years into the post-Illuminati world in the future, and there'll still be people who don't believe it. They'll be peeking around corners going, God, aren't they crafty? And so that's another possibility. Another one I don't accept. Yes, I know you can gloat and glorify and backslap about how superior you are to me, okay? But I don't accept it, and I've explained why. Third possibility is what I think is true. The hidden hand is failing. If the hidden hand is failing, then is this really, if not the end, but the beginning of the end? Is this Springtime in Narnia? You have to read The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe by C.S. Lewis to get that reference. But basically, what I'm saying is, has 2016 been the year in which, to quote the song by Tracy Chapman, finally the tables are starting to turn? We're talking about a revolution. Is that the year? In which case, 2017, if it's half as good, I'll be overjoyed. So that's the possibility with Trump. Anyway, I think it's always good. I think this is one thing that I've learned today. Leftists are not all evil. Okay, they're not all evil slugs. Some of them are decent people who, mistakenly as they are, want to do good. They're motivated by desire to do good. When I was aged 18 or 19, I would have been with them. I'd have been there too. I'd have been supported because I thought exactly like them. I would have been anti-Trump. I'd have been, all these things. The second lesson is always listen to both sides of every story and go to places and deal with people you don't agree with. This is why I go to skeptic events. This is why I'm always at very skeptic events. I've got a lot more planned when it comes to skeptics, actually. My video on skeptics, the video I did where I did my lecture on skeptics at New Horizons, which you can see. If you look through my videos. It's over 2 hours long, where I do a lecture all about skeptics. If I hadn't got involved with skeptics and gone to skeptic events and read skeptic books and watched skeptic videos and listened to skeptic radio shows, if I hadn't done that, I wouldn't have been able to do that to do that lecture. It wouldn't have worked. That talk could not have happened. I needed to have that experience. So, dealing with people you don't agree with and looking at what they have to say, listening to them, attending their events, is extremely educational. No matter what your own personal beliefs are, look at what other people are saying too. Ed, the guy from the guy from the Communist Corresponding Society. He's been to events with Nick Holostrom. The speaker, the guy with the black hair, who spoke. I think he was the third speaker or fourth speaker. He's been. I've seen him at events with Nick Holostrom. He was one of the ones I filmed, I think. He doesn't agree with Nick Holostrom. I mean, he'd probably regard Nick as a fascist. He'd probably regard me as a fascist too. But he's willing to listen. He's willing to examine the other side of the argument and not just hurl abuse at it, like some leftists do. Some leftists are thugs, and they are smelly, disgusting, violent, tyrannical individuals. But hashtag not all leftists. Yeah, it was a peaceful, good-natured event, and I think several people recognised me, and they didn't object to me filming there. I mean, they couldn't anyway. I mean, a couple of people came up and asked me what I was doing, and I told them. I just said I'm a tourist, which I suppose technically is true. I'm just filming interesting things. They said, cool. If they'd objected, I'd have said, well, no, it's a public highway. I can film on a public street if I want. But no one objected. No one checked me for ideological purity. No one came up to me and sort of started talking about trying to find out what my ideas were before, being happy with me standing around. I didn't pick up any hostility there. People there were very nice. Oh, so what's next? Well, the fight goes on, no doubt. I mean, if this is Springtime in Narnia, well, if you read the book, The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe by C.S. Lewis, you'll know that after Springtime there was still a big battle. So, as I said, this is not the end of the New World Order yet. The hidden hand is not going to go quietly. As I said, Trump, every time I switch on the news, I've said this before, I expect to see Trump's had a plane crash, Trump's had a heart attack, someone has shot Trump. He seems to be in a hurry at the moment. Like, as one of the speakers said today, he signed more executive orders in the first 2 weeks of his presidency than Obama did in the first year. It's almost like he's in a rush to get it done because he knows he has limited time. He talks about his 100-day plan. 100-day plan. Why? I mean, he's supposed to have 4 years in office, isn't he? Perhaps as many as 8 if he gets re-elected. Why is he talking about a 100-day plan? I mean, and there are several people now who are talking about impeaching him, and of course that came up at the conference. I don't know if I managed to capture that part on video, but one of the speakers was talking about impeaching Trump. So yeah, it's they may well have their way, and Trump could be gone soon. But if the hidden hand is really failing, Trump's a symptom of that. And if anything happened to him, I'd be very, very sad, but I wouldn't be surprised. And I wouldn't give up, though. Trump is not the cause of our optimism. Trump is the effect of our optimism. So, we'll see. But it's exciting, isn't it? It's a great time to be alive, as David Icke said. It's exciting. It's getting more exciting all the time. 2016 was the most exciting year of my life, certainly in the political world. And 2017... as I said, if it could only be half as good. So thanks for watching Hapanmo TV. See you again soon. Hospital Port as Pride and Dignity stop the New World Order.
Theresa May, hear us shout, Muslims in, racists out. Theresa May, hear us shout,
Muslims in, racists out.
Theresa May, hear us shout,
Muslims in, racists out.
Theresa May, hear us shout,
Muslims in, racists out.
Theresa May.